There are so many women on screen right now. It's really sad. We really couldn't put up all these women, so we actually compiled about a list of 12 women that has been murdered so far in the last maybe 4 months in Jamaica. The list is about 24 women, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we have not known about. My name is Margaret, and tonight we are going to talk about the epidemic of murders of women and girls in Jamaica. I am going to bring on two people who are two young ladies who are going to discuss this topic with us tonight. Welcome. We're live on Jamaica Live, and
Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
So we are here to talk about all murders, all these women in Jamaica. I describe this as an epidemic, a femicide in Jamaica. Lisa, what's your perspective? Do you think this is an epidemic happening in Jamaica right now?
It is absolutely a epidemic. It's and it's the level of violence against the women. It's not just that they're getting killed, it's the way that they're getting killed too. It's really brutal, shocking, and disturbing on many, many different levels.
So Lisa, you want to just introduce yourself?
Okay. Everyone, my name is Lisa Moore, new to the Jamaica Live family. Born and grew in Jamaica, came to America when I was a teenager, went to school here and went into the military. Eventually became a social worker. And so I've seen the ins and outs of, the violence against women, either, community, nationwide, internationally, but I'm very, very concerned about what's going on in Jamaica because that's my home. That's where I come from. And if nowhere else, that's where my heart lies. And that's where I always feel loyalty to. So the rush of murders of women and girls it should be scaring more people. We should all be talking about it.
And Rashad, you want to introduce yourself to the Jamaica Live audience?
Sure. Thank you, Margaret. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rochelle Pinnock, and I am the chairperson for the Commonwealth Youth Peace Ambassadors Network here in Jamaica. And essentially, we're just a group of young people who basically gets authority from the Commonwealth Secretariat, and we work in communities to prevent violence and to do peace building activities. So right now our focus area is gender-based violence. So we're doing a lot of work around responding to and preventing gender-based violence in Jamaica.
Okay. So Rochelle, I want to ask you: do you think there's an epidemic in Jamaica right now?
Margaret, there is an epidemic in Jamaica for years now. There was, I think, in the last 3 years, around several months of just consistent murders of women. And then a lot of people are attributing it to foreigners and all kinds of things, but there was like months of consistent raping and murder of women, and we have not gotten a lot of the women haven't gotten justice from those incidents, or their families haven't gotten justice. So these cases, majority of the perpetrators have not been found and punished for what they have done. So we have two sides here where the justice system is failing the victims, and we also have a problem with preventing gender-based violence and femicide from happening in the first place.
Um, I want to ask Lisa, and from my perspective, I, I don't think the Jamaican government is doing enough. I don't think the government take it seriously. I don't feel like they do. And I also feel like a lot of Jamaicans who are living in Jamaica, it's become such a norm that I'm not going to, they, it's like, okay, another woman got killed. Okay, that's fine. Lisa, what's your perspective on that? What do you think from?
I could not agree more. And the statistics actually back up exactly what you're saying. In preparation for this talk, I did some research just trying to see, what information is out there about the prevalence of gender-based violence. And I came across a couple of interesting studies. One said exactly what you just said, that a lot of the majority of the women believe that the men are the head of the household, and the women are responsible for the home. Some of them do not even believe that a husband can rape a wife. So, the thought process of men controlling women's bodies is an overwhelming ideology that happens in Jamaica. So, and that goes across all platforms. The most interesting finding that I found is that women are abused and murdered across all stratas, whether you're poor, whether you're rich, whether you're educated, whether you're not, whether you're disabled. It doesn't, race, class, religion. That's the one thing the world has in common. you know I know we're talking about Jamaica, but across the world it seemed like women are at the bottom of the barrel no matter where you live, whether it's Europe, Asia, whether it's in the church, whether it's in the military, whether it's in any institution. Women and girls are prey for men. And the ideology that we know, we live in a very masculine, Jamaica is a very masculine culture. You know, we know women run things, but men control things. If you understand what me I try to say.
And I want to say a lot of the perspective from women is okay. It's kind of like, I would say it's ingrained in the culture, Jamaican culture, whereby a woman feel, just to kind of, woman, it's okay if women get them beaten, and some women agree with it. What do you think about that, Rochella? What do you think about that perspective?
I think it's a very interestingly common perspective. So, first of all, I think in order to understand why people are behaving the way they are, I think it goes back to just people's normative understanding of what gender is and how the
Exactly.
genders should relate to each other. So, I feel like this is coming. Remember, we're living in a post slavery, a
Colonial.
post colonized era,
Mm-hmm.
and we're also living in a post patriarchy era
True.
where men globally were seen as to predominate political spaces, property, their moral authority, and they also have higher social status and privilege. So that was a real thing that women all over the world had to contend with and had to live with. And right now, there are changes that are being made to kind of shift that. But we have to understand that that swept into the culture and that
Yes.
influenced how women saw themselves and how men saw women. So the problem that we're having is our normative understandings of gender and how we think the genders should relate to each other. Do we think that women should be subordinate to men? Do we think that women are somewhat of servants to men? Do we think that men are authority figures for women in a very uncomfortable and unequal way? So I feel like the fact that women believe that nothing is wrong with getting beatings from your husband or your man is stemming from just their understanding of their role as women and how they should be treated as women.
And I find it kind of funny because even women in authority, women who are in authority and women in power, in some regards, feel like maybe it's okay for my man to kind of, you know, being a power over me, instead of being equal to me. And I think in Jamaica, this is kind of an ingrained thought process, and I am thinking that because of this thought process, um, people, I mean, may be wrong. A lot of Jamaican women, because I mean, I'm going to say names. You have women in power. You have Babsy Grange. You have Lisa Anna. You have this lawyer woman she's a lawyer in the Andrew Holness administration. You have so many women in power, and women. There's an epidemic in Jamaica right now, and I've not heard any of these women come out and say, oh my God, we have to pass some laws. We have to do something about what's happening. It's like business as usual. I mean, Rachel, you're living in Jamaica right now. What's your perspective on this?
I think there definitely needs to be revamping of laws, especially as it relates to sexual harassment. That's a serious thing because a lot of people think that rape is sexual harassment, and
No.
that is not the case because sexual harassment takes into consideration just verbal harassment. So you could be saying something that we find is derogatory towards a woman, diminishing her status and that kind of thing, and that could be once it has sexual connotation, that is sexual harassment. So I think that laws need to be revamped to include a broader scope of issues that can be considered sexual harassment, and then providing a platform for women to get justice whenever they have been wronged in that regard. Living in Jamaica now, there's definitely a breakdown in just the respect for women and the protection for women. You literally have to be very careful of public transportation. And public transportation is something that we all have to contend with some form, some way, or some shape in Jamaica. And just to see that just public transportation on a whole is very unsafe for women because there have been countless instances where women have been taken away and murdered, raped and murdered in Jamaica via public transportation. That is via licensed taxi drivers,
Uh-uh.
right? So it's not like you're taking a taxi that is not permitted to be a public carrier. These are licensed taxi drivers that we have to essentially be careful of. So I feel like these women, as you said, Margaret, need to come out and need to be advocates for women's safety and just say to the public that you're against gender-based violence. They need to be more outspoken about the issue. We're too lackadaisical as it relates to femicide and this epidemic that we're facing.
And I think it's kind of like just swept under the carpet. What do you think about that, Lisa? I think the government, everybody just kind of pretend like it's not happening. Am I
Two
wrong?
things.
Am
No,
I wrong?
I think there's two things, right? We're making the mistake that society makes, and we're putting the problem back on women. I think this is a society problem. We need as many men out there fighting for women as there are women, because we already know that if a man tell a man to do something, and hold a man accountable, him a go listen way harder than if a woman tell him to do the same thing. You see me? So I feel like the message don't necessarily just need to come from women in power. It needs to come from everyone in power. Because I'm gonna tell you, the the most vocal feminist I know, I'm on social media a lot. The most vocal feminist on my timeline is a man. And you feel see the hate what him get because him always a stand up for woman. Secondly, we can pass all the laws that we want, but one, they have to be enforceable and you have to have police that actually gonna do them job. Like Rochelle is saying, all these women murdered, most of the times people know who it is, or the evidence, if they're actually investigating anything, will show who it is. But then you have to have actual police doing them jobs and following the law and protecting these women. Because there's a story I sent to Margaret today. It made me cry. It was a typical, it seemed like a typical story of how women get beaten down by men in Jamaican society. There's a woman, she was a farmer, self-sufficient, angler business. This man start come around and do little work around the farm. She keep telling him, "I can't anger my business, you don't have to keep coming around. Don't feel like say just because you have put feelings towards me, me supposed to reciprocate." So much so until him keep pushing himself until one day him hold on the woman and rape her. She went to the police, him get mad that she report him go back and rape her again. She go to the police a second time, him burn down her house in her with her inside of it. See, no,
This is something that happened in Jamaica.
yeah, this is something that happened in Jamaica. It just made me cry, live in high water. Because, whether it's the little girl, them are rape off and throw them in a ditch, or old woman, them are rape off and a kill. There's no, it's not like you can say young people alone, or maybe I just, people were in a relationship. Sometimes you don't even know it. Like Rochelle was saying, the sexual harassment. I know nothing not change. From me, a little pitney, I grew up in a Jamaica. From me start turn around 10, and my body started to change. Men started to treat me different. And I had to start fearing these men that I always thought would protect me. The men that would hang around the corner, and when y'all look a pitney, these people know you, and anything will happen, you will look to them. But all of a sudden, as soon as puberty hit, I I was prey. All of a sudden, if respond to somebody where a pss, pss, you don't know them gonna box you down, kill you, rape you, anything.
And I am, I think you said something. Everybody knows everybody. I think that I think the problem I'm having with understanding all of this is that everybody in Jamaica knows everybody. Jamaica is an island less than 3 million people. So why is it so hard for the government to get these people? Russia, what do you think? Why it's so hard for government to get these people? What's the problem?
I'm probably afraid.
All right. So I think there are different types of gender violence, and for rape, for instance, people are afraid to speak out because of the repercussions. Like Lisa said, you talk out, these persons literally come back and try to harm you again. But I also think that the government lacks the use of databases and technology to fight crime, because if you're going to monitor people, you're going to need the resources to monitor people. And even though we're a very small island, the police can't patrol every single community in Jamaica and find the perpetrators by themselves. It needs a community effort. So if I know something in the community, I have to be willing to speak out, and that is a problem in Jamaica because of the informal fided culture, among many other things. So I think the problem is that they would have to look into how they're fighting crime and apply the use of technologies like databases. So, for instance, a lot of the record keeping for rape cases is done manually still. Um, or people literally typing in things in computers.
Mm-mm.
In there some big back computers we call them. It needs to be updated. We're going mobile no, where people. I mean, government has initiatives where they're allowing you to log on your cellular phone whenever you see a crime being committed or a rape or that kind of thing. I think that needs to be spread out into the into the wider country, and then have more people using the technology that you're trying to phase out. Because a lot of the times that the police officers do not know where to find the perpetrators, or the community is not speaking out. So people in the community need to speak out, one, and then you need to use more advanced technologies to fight crime, I think.
Can I just piggyback on that? Just to
Yes.
add a simple point. You're exactly right. Because just in doing the little research that I found, it was outside entities that came in and tried to analyze the metadata
Mm-hmm.
to try to understand the statistics. No one is keeping statistics, even just a log of how many people have died per year. You know, it's hard. It's mostly just estimation, and um sometimes it's other entities that are doing the trying to analyze, everything that's going on. She's right. Nobody's keeping tabs on it. One, because they actually have to care, and two, because they're lagging behind in infrastructure in everything.
Um,
Yeah, police department, some of them don't even have care. Oh, that makes sense.
I mean, I would say for the past like month or so, as the Jamaican government, they have a lot of new bikes, new bicycles, new cars. I mean, the government is spending a lot of money on equipment for the police force. But I think I just want to say this. My big thing is everybody knows everybody. So
Mm,
everybody
mm,
knows everybody knows everybody in
I
Jamaica.
don't know, Rochelle.
We're not living in Jamaica. I mean, Jamaica is it's a small place. Like everybody knows everybody, and I can't believe that the police and government doesn't know who these killers and these murderers are. Because let's talk about it. Let's talk about this lawyer lady.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. That's what's started the whole
let's talk
spearheaded this whole thing.
let's talk about her. She's apparently she's a high profile lawyer, right? Or she is the granddaughter of a PMP, a
Yeah,
PMP.
like he was supposedly like one of the architects of the People's National Party.
Okay,
I think he was an accountant, at least something I read said he was an accountant, but in the circles of Norman Manley and Edna Manley and Bustamante and them people, that time frame.
so
But
this woman is the granddaughter of a prominent person, and she is actually part of the legal system in Jamaica. Killing this woman is literally, in my opinion, attacking the legal framework of the Jamaican society and saying to criminals, or literally saying to the legal system, we can kill you. From my perspective, I am going to say Jamaica is a state in a state of anomy, a state of lawlessness, because when criminals start attacking the legal framework of any society, they are making a stand, they're making a claim, they're saying to the system, we can get you. And I also think that the Jamaican government seem to maybe not taking the right steps towards this, because maybe they're afraid that it's going to affect tourism, or from that perspective. What do you think, Rashani? What do you think about that?
I think the government definitely have information. I'm not sure how broad that information is that they have. But since they're the central authority with different ministries, they do have information. And I think it's about how they use the information and if they choose to use the information. I think what you said is really accurate about this being such a big problem because the law the men who are not upholding the law are essentially saying to the justice system and persons who work within it that guess what, we do not care if you are trying to uphold the law. Whatever we want we will try to get. And I think where you have gunmen and criminals empowered to that extent where they feel as though
Mm,
they can attack lawyers and anybody associated with the justice system just because of the work that they're doing to prevent the spread of criminality in Jamaica, then we definitely have a problem. I think life in general is very important. So it doesn't matter if this was somebody who was unemployed and you know was not at a particular social status. Life is life. But at the end of the day, the important work that Sasha K was doing, and then to just see her life being snatched away from her because she's defending justice and because she's defending what is right in Jamaica. I think that is definitely raising an alarm that more needs to be done and done urgently.
I want to say, all the people who are watching, thank you for watching. If you want to comment, you can comment, and we want to hear what you have to say. What's your perspective on what's going on to Jamaica? Post in Jamaica. Post your comment. We really want you to be part of this conversation. So please post your comment that we can see your comment. Lisa, I want to say you've done some research on this woman, this Luya. Tell me some more about her because her life is like really interesting.
right. Well, as far as what I can tell, I think she was born in St. Mary. She moved to St. Anne, and she was a bright girl. There's a story that she told the Observer about when she was little, that she was one of her platforms was bullying, and she told a story about when she was little. She would get pushed around a lot, but one story is very meaningful because she was talked about how there was a very popular boy that liked her, but she was just interested in her books, and she wasn't really interested in him. Him and his friends um jumped her. So it was maybe three or four little boys jumped her, and they were mad because she'd dissed them, them friend. So it's sort of indicative of the kind of mentality boys and men get to have in this society, because somebody's training them that that's okay. We tell little girls, if a little boy pushes you, oh, it's just because he likes you. That's actually not okay. But let me go on. She um she's a very bright girl. Obviously, she ended up going to college in England, got her degree, her law degree in it's not like say she was a rich girl. She talked about doing all kind of odd jobs. I think the way they described it, it must have been her working for Salvation Army, because she talked about being out there in the cold and the snow all day just to make maybe a couple of dollars from Salvation Army ringing them bell. But she worked hard. She got her degree in England and Wales and I think Scotland. And it she talked about wanting to come back to Jamaica to be a part of the solution, to actually mentor young girls. Rochelle was talking about some of the work that she was doing. She was doing work with young kids, trying to be the example. She was I mean, it seemed like she did all kind of laws. Most people specialize in something. She did criminal law, civil law, real estate law, um and she was doing everything right. I mean, you can imagine she was driving in the car with her mother. Them actually, it seemed like them lay wait her right outside of our gate. And as soon as she had turned for go either upon our street or in our gate, that's where she was assassinated. Because what else you call some lay waiting somebody and just shooting up them car? It was an assassination. It bothers me because, you know, I'm somebody who would I like for come back home. I dream about coming back home and using my knowledge and my skills to help younger kids, you know. I mean, I'm not physically in the best of health, but I figure say if me I got suffer, better me suffer in a Jamaica, but it's incidents like these that has been happening increasingly over the last few years. And I know I'm not the only one. I have another Jamaican friend of mine. She wanted to come home, but she actually have a family house in there, St. Elizabeth, where I got empty because nobody in her family wants to go home.
I think one of the what strikes me about this lawyer lady is that when you said she come home because she wants to be part of the solution,
Yeah.
she talks about the brain drain. Do you want to
Yes.
elaborate on that, Lisa?
Well, the brain drain is
No,
basically because,
she talk about the brain drain.
right, there's
She
something that is said that 81% of Jamaicans will move abroad and they won't come back, you know. The more educated ones because they want an opportunity. I know plenty of people who get them go school and work hard. There's such a, in Jamaica, there's always two different messages at the same time. Because, you know, you you will have parents and teachers and neighbors and everybody telling you go school, work hard, get good grades. You do that, and then when you come out of school, there's no opportunity for you. The good teachers are leaving Jamaica to go teach elsewhere. The good nurses are going to leave in Jamaica to go elsewhere because them can't actually get paid. That's why the people them were at the hospital turn so, because they're not professional, they're not well trained.
um
The brain drain causes the best of us to leave and use that the best resource any country can have is its human resources, is the people. And if the best, most smartest, ambitious people are leaving because they don't want to deal with the lack of opportunity and the crime, then you have the nepotism that goes on in Jamaica. The lack of customer service because no one is holding people accountable.
I want to ask you, Rachel, because you didn't know this young lady personally, but you know of her and you know the work that she's doing. And I really want the reason why I'm talking about her. I don't want our viewers to think all the other women were not important. All the other women
They're all important.
all important. They're all being raped, and I mean, I'm going to talk about some of them in a minute. But I want to ask, Rochelle, you know something about this lawyer woman that been murdered? Do you know something about her?
Yes. So there's this program for young people in Jamaica called Talk Up Youths. It is run
Yeah, we
by
talked about it.
Empress Golding, um, and she has another co-producer. So basically, the show empowers youths to speak about some of the issues that are affecting them in Jamaica, because we realized that we had a problem where we didn't have a seat at the table. We didn't get to voice our concerns as young people, even though all decisions that were being made by persons of authority would affect us, would affect
Hmm.
everybody, including us. So essentially, the initiative wanted to give youths a voice. And Sasha K. Fairclough, this lady who attorney at law who was murdered, she was a participant of that program some years ago, and she essentially spoke about the issue of bullying and that kind of thing. And she was seen as an example for other youths in the society to aspire to do amazing things and to make an impact in Jamaica like she has. So what I can say about her is that she was a staunch advocate, that she used whatever platforms that she got to empower young people, and she also used the platform to speak out for what is right. And this was a young lady who obviously wanted to make a change in Jamaica. And this just makes it even more gruesome, that what happened to her a few days ago happened.
Yes, because I mean, again, this is a person who, from my understanding, decided I am going to come home. I'm going to be part of the solution in Jamaica. I could stay in England. I could live in England. I could live everywhere, anywhere else. But she consciously make a decision to say, I am coming home. I am going to be part of this solution. And for some reason, we is trying to understand these criminals, literally, some people say it's a hit. I've heard arguments that, oh, it must be a hit, it's hitman. I mean, I've heard people say on social media, oh, we don't know what she's done, we don't know what she's done. Um, and I want to say this. I have a problem with the legal system in regards to a lot of these criminals are being let out prematurely in regards to some of them, rape, murder. They come out on bond. I'm thinking, why are these men coming out on bond? What do you think about that, Rochelle? Why are these men coming out on bond? I mean, I mean, I'm trying to understand even that part of the system.
So it all has to do with representation and who is your legal representative. So if these individuals who they don't do things in isolation, they're connected to a network, because majority of the criminal activity performed in Jamaica is tied to gangs and gang relations. So you don't have criminals acting in isolation like a one person just doing a thing on his own. They're connected to networks which have resources. That's what supplies them with guns and ammunitions and the kind of financial resources necessary to get proper legal representation.
Mm.
So the justice system has to be neutral and it has to be fair and unbiased. When you're going to be prosecuting somebody, you have to ensure that the evidence is there to back your claim as prosecutors. And that's one of the biggest issues that we're having in Jamaica in terms of incarceration and incarcerating criminals, is that collecting evidence is very difficult because, again, the technology necessary to ensure
Mm.
that all the DNA sampling and all that is collected on scene is not optimized in Jamaica. So, in
Mm.
terms of letting out criminals on bonds, we can't. The essentially they have good legal representation. That is the issue. So they have lawyers who are able to work the system so that they can get this kind of treatment. I think where there's a shortfall is in prosecution. So where the state is prosecuting this criminal, the state has to ensure that the evidence there is sufficient to back the claim that they have. So I don't think that this is just an attempt by judges or just the justice system overall to let these criminals go. It's not. We don't think that that's the case. But when these criminals have hired top lawyers and these top lawyers do their jobs really well, then that is the result of it if the state does not have the necessary evidence.
I I I'm frustrated, like a lot of people. I'm super frustrated because when you see in a system whereby these women have been murdered and nothing is being done, and I look at the government now is passing all these Zoso. I don't think this, in my perspective, I don't think this also is working. I think the government should basically do more detective work, get the criminals. I think there should be a state of emergency because, of course, Jamaica is in a state of anarchy right now. There should be a state of emergency, and a state of emergency whereby I think they should I mean, when it's in Jamaica, scrape up all of the criminal them, scrape up everybody, scrape up all of the gangs them because I'm sure they can find the gangs. The gangs are not hiding. I don't think you're hiding, Lisa. Do you think the gangs are hiding? Do you think the government can't scrape them up?
I think that's a simplistic way to look at a very complicated situation, right? Because if we go back far enough, few years ago, there's an argument to be made that when the Dons them did a run certain areas, there was at least a line not crossed when it come to the level of criminality. But when you get rid, it doesn't matter where it happened. If you get rid of the top, a top criminal, somebody is going to slip into that spot. And then what happens is everybody then have to go fight it out, and then instead of maybe beer one criminal done, you might have both a dozen a fight it out and a fight one another and a fight for territory or whatever it is that they do. I'm not I don't claim to be an expert on criminality, but you have a level of understanding of how certain things work. I just think, I mean, we know the government is not doing enough, obviously, but at the same time, it's everybody problem. It's the church problem, it's the school problem, it's the teacher problem, it's your mother, father, uncle, neighbor, everybody problem. 'Cause we all have to go step up, see the problem for what it is, and start doing our part.
And
Because we're talking about the criminal system. I mean, at the immediate level, the police, how much do they actually even care about when a woman actually get killed or murdered for actually do an exhaustive investigation? Sometimes there are people there that will tell you what happened, when, where, and why, but it's at every level the work has to be done, and people have to actually care about what they're doing and do it. It's not like CSI that everything happens magically. That don't even happen here in America, much less in a Jamaica.
Rochelle, I want to ask you, what your organization, you want to tell us what your organization is doing in regards to this issue?
Yes, yes, certainly. So the organization again for those who have just joined, I see I have a Nancy here from Barbados. Welcome. So the organization is a Commonwealth Youth Peace Ambassador Network, and we're actually focusing on gender-based violence right now. So next week, Saturday coming, the 21st of September, it is known as the UN, the International Day of Peace. And though globally, the focus will be on climate change, in Jamaica, we're focusing on gender based violence on that day. So on Saturday, we'll be having what we call a roundtable discussion with all stakeholder groups that have to do with gender-based violence. And we found that was very important because we need to engage the government, civil society, and youth, and all different groups that have done work in gender-based violence. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be talking about the theme of the event is demystifying gender-based violence causes and solutions. And the reason why that was a theme is because demystifying is talking about what are some of the misconceptions about gender-based violence. Because gender-based violence is not only a woman's issue, it's a gender issue, male,
Exactly.
female. So we do have boys, little boys, and men who are facing violence because of their gender, which is gender-based violence, as well as women and girls. So we wanted to look at some of the misconceptions and then, of course, look at the root causes in Jamaica and then solutions. So that's what we're doing about it, and it's just starting the conversation, getting people aware of the scope and impact of the problem, and then from there, we work with communities.
Okay, so you want to just I want you to just talk again about what you guys are doing on Saturday and what just kind of just repeat that again. You said this is this Saturday. This Saturday.
Okay, right.
When
So
we're
this Saturday, which is
So what you
September 21, 2019, we're having a gender-based violence roundtable discussion. So that is SAIPAN, which is the Commonwealth Youth Peace Ambassadors Network. And Positive Org, we're collaborating with another organization in Jamaica called Positive Org, and we're hosting this gender-based violence roundtable at the University of West Indies, Mona.
Mm.
Um, and we are getting stakeholders involved. So we do not only want representations from the government, but we want people from civil society. We want victims of gender-based violence. We want community workers. We want police officers. So we'll be having all these different people around, not necessarily around a table, but on a panel. And we're going to have persons in the audience, and we're going to be discussing at length what is gender-based violence, what is causing it in Jamaica, and how we can, one, respond and prevent it. And I just want to say something finally on that. So gender-based violence, the solutions is twofold. You have to work to respond to it, and you also have to work to prevent it. You can't do one or the other. Why I say that? Preventing is ensuring that this does not happen to a particular group of people. Responding is that it already happened. What can we do now to make the situation better? So those are the kinds of things that we'll be discussing at the gender-based violence roundtable this Saturday.
Um,
Can I ask you a question, Rochelle?
Yes, no problem.
Um, does your most of your solution, is the work that needs to be done by everybody, or is it just women?
Work that needs to be done by everybody, because we have something that we'll be discussing, which is gender-based violence a woman's issue or a men's issue? A men issue. So we want to essentially propose that this is a men issue, because
mm,
men are this is a problem with men.
These, oh Lord,
This
say
is a
that again,
problem,
darling. Say that
right?
again.
This is an issue perpetuated and perpetuated in society by men. And so we need to, this is good that we're having conversations with women, but men need
Need
to
to
be a
be
part of the
out of
conversation,
conversation.
because we have found
Say that
that
again.
majority of the case is men who are perpetuating this violence against women. So there is
Exactly.
obviously a problem, and it's a men issue, and we want to be proposing that, and we want to discuss that at length. So it'll be something similar to this, but with other stakeholders involved.
so
Right
um,
on, sister girl.
can the public get involved? Do you guys want the public to be involved in this?
Certainly, especially people in the diaspora. So we know that there are a lot of Jamaicans living abroad, over 3 million Jamaicans living abroad. And these are Jamaicans who are committed to the growth and development of Jamaica, but they don't know how to get involved, and they don't know what they can do, the little that they can do, and what impact that may have on the population. So we want to especially engage Jamaicans living abroad and just engage Jamaicans living here. Um, so this is what the roundtable is, because before we can start to attack a problem or to fight against a particular issue in our country, we have to understand the issue. And we have to ensure that we thoroughly understand the issue and get everybody involved who are affected by the issue together to discuss the issue, because this has to be a collaboration, not only between the sexes, not only between the genders, but among different groups of people and community organizations. So we will let the public know just how to support our initiatives, because after gender-based violence roundtable, we'll be going into communities, we'll be trying to help out as much as we can. But we have to have the conversation first.
Yes. Again, I think I want to come back to government need to do more, and the people in the society. There's a lot. Women need to understand, and as you said, it's a men's issue. I think I like what you said. It's a men's issue. So men
Mhm.
need to start to step up, and men need to start having a conversation with each other and saying, we can't do this to our women. I mean,
Exactly.
here's one thing I'm going to say, and I hear from men that women or being a woman can't expect to attack or to attack a man and expect that she's not going to get the same treatment as a man. I've heard that. One incident in particular I want to talk about is this artist that got killed by her estranged boyfriend. They were fighting, and he shot her and killed her. He is not. He was in the hospital. He's not been charged, and he basically is let out. Nothing. And a lot of people are saying, oh, he's been cut and been stabbed. She could have almost killed him. That's what people are saying. So a lot of people are justifying her murder by saying she could have killed him. And I ask myself, when was the last time I hear a man be murdered by a woman in Jamaica? you know so how can people justify the fact that he used a gun to murder a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying, okay, she could have killed him? How many times you've seen a woman murder a man in Jamaica? How can you actually sit there? Okay, I'm not saying she should have stabbed him, cut him, fight him, or whatever, but you're telling me he couldn't. And I'm sure he's free. I'm sure he may see this. You're telling me that this man couldn't find a way to defend himself from this woman other than take out a gun to murder this woman?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
see?
I think I read a little bit about that one because there was some mumblings that she stabbed him first or something like that. If it's the same case that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Um,
same case.
but I mean, the statistics show that in most of the times when a woman is killed, she's killed by her boyfriend or husband or intimate partner. So that statistics is worldwide. It's not nothing that's new. But the thing is, the message that ends up happening in Jamaica, or even almost any violence against women, there's always the people who hate women or who don't know how to protect women will always find a way to make it that woman's fault. For example, rape is the only crime where the victim has to prove that a crime was committed, because all the man has to say is it was consensual. So it gets stickier. Jamaica still, I mean, women are, I mean, every person come from a woman, but somewhere along the line, a lot of them learn not to respect women and to hate women, hate women to so much that they want to destroy a woman, especially if she do anything that would have slight him in any way. You were the one that was talking earlier. We were talking about how, you know, Jamaican people have this revenge mentality. You
Yes.
step on a man, can him, I go shot you and kill you. For
And I
that.
mean, like, what the hell is that? Like, it's like, yeah, for me, I think that's what the biggest problem with this whole murder thing. And a lot of these are hits. People are paying people to murder. And it's like
Hurt
people
people,
are
hurt people.
a lot of people are
Hurt
paying
people,
to
hurt
murder women.
people.
I think a lot of people are paying to murder women. Are women doing this? Russia, what do you think? I mean, this is maybe out of your scope, but this is an opinion. Are women
Ah,
paying other
Ru-
women to kill
Rush,
women? Because
Not that I know of. No. Not
in,
that I know
this,
of.
it's like because a lot of people are saying these are hits. every time I look on Jamaica, this is a hit. Seems like a hit. So there's a lot of hits going on. Um, because a lot of these, they drive by, they drive up and they shot somebody and then they drive off. It's not that doesn't seem like it's personal. So I think women paying men to kill other women. I mean, like, what the hell is going on? I mean, like, why can't people sit down and, I mean, of course, I mean, I guess if you're angry at somebody, you're not going to sit down and have a discussion with them. But why do you think you just have to pay somebody to kill them? I mean, I don't understand what's going on. Anyway, we'll have 4 minutes. I'm
Mm.
going to give you a little time to close off. Lisa.
Well, I would just like to say that, I don't care who you are in, in this world, you came from a woman, and at some point, you know, you were a baby dependent on a woman. Respect women. We need men to step up and also be part of the solution, because it's always end up being the women have to fix it. We didn't create this problem. You guys gotta come in there and help fight with us so we can change things, and maybe the next generation will be a little bit better.
Yes. I don't see Margaret.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe she got but it still say you're alive, so I don't even know
Right.
where I got.
I'm here
Okay,
to
there she go.
scream. So I
Okay.
want you guys, the platform to speak. What's your last opinion on this, Michelle? I mean, it's a little bit like wow.
All right. So
You want to close out?
I think that so I have to whoa. All right, sorry about that, my battery. So I want to say finally that I think that men should join the fight, just as Lisa said. Um, support women, have conversations with your younger children, your boys especially, and teach them
Yes.
how to treat women. Engage children in primary schools because our men trajectory of being boyhood. So we essentially have to show our women and they'll protect, that they love women. So I would say in this whole drive to make a better place for women, girls, boys.
Yes. For closing, I would want to say the government needs to do more. There should be an outcry for this epidemic. It's an epidemic, and there should be an outcry. Or men and women, there should be an outcry because this is an epidemic, and it should be called an epidemic. There should be an outcry. There should be government should spend money to um, have major discussions, public service announcement. They should scrap up all the gangs. I literally think the state of emergency should be the government clearing up all these gangs. I really do believe it. I think what is happening in Jamaica right now, Jamaica is in a state of anarchy, state of lawlessness, and the state of emergency really should give the government the powers to scrape up all the gangs, because I mean they know where the gangs are. They should scrape them up. They should scrape up all the gangs, and anybody who is. I mean, I'm gonna go onto the limb and say anybody who's protecting these gangs. I'm sorry. If you're protecting somebody who you know who are going out and murdering women for money, I'm sorry. If you have information about that and you're not giving it up, I think you should also be taken in custody for this, because this has to stop. We cannot have a system where you have men or murdering women for money. We cannot have this. And I really think the government. I would say I'm calling on government. I'm calling on Andrew Onis. I'm calling on Lisa Anna. I'm calling on all these women. I'm calling on all these men. You guys really need to call it what it is: an epidemic. There's murders. Women have been murdered left, right, and center in Jamaica. And it's an epidemic, and um, you guys have to call it what it is, and you guys have to, we can't build our way out of what is going on. Andrew Olneska, building road and building this and building that, that's not going to stop the problem. Andrew Olnes cannot build his way out of this situation. He cannot build his way out of it. And I'm not against the building of what's going on. I like it, but he cannot build his way out of this particular situation. He needs to address it. Anything else? Last, that's it. Anything else?
Jamaica have too much powerful women, smart women, educated women, strong women for, for this to be how we're treating women. Real talk. We got to do better. I don't have nothing against men. I love men. They're fun to be around. Most of my best friends are men. But, there's those toxic ones that when they don't get their way, they become a different person, and, that's not a good thing. We as a community, on every level, we have to do better.
Okay, Rochelle, I'm going to give you the last word to close off.
Jamaica, we have beautiful natural resources. We are talented, incredible people, known all over the world for culture, and just presence. But we do have a lot of domestic issues that we need to solve. One of the biggest one is femicide and gender-based violence in Jamaica, and just violence on a whole. And it is a collaborative process, and we need to come together, discuss the issues. I want to commend Margaret and Lisa, um, and Margaret for us having this show and having this live and just spreading the information and positive vibes. We need more people like you who are looking at the issues in Jamaica and looking at ways to solve it. So I want to just commend this whole production and thank you so much for having us on here,
Yes,
and
thank you, Margaret.
keep safe and
Thank you
peace.
so much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for watching and continue discussion. Thank you so much. Thank
All
you.
right, big up